6 hours into the lockdown, every bulkhead sealed and 40 cadets sweating out a plague my species has no word for. The only calm creature in this building was the human girl. She stood in a medbay line, sleeve rolled up, waiting for a shot. Her blood had been flagged as a bioweapon. She had been injecting it into herself since she was 2 months old, on purpose. To this day, I do not know which fact frightened my council more. My name is Ilvex Marn. I am Chief Medic of Threshold Academy, and I have screened the blood of 19,000 cadets across 41 species. I'm telling you this the way I wrote it in my log because the log is the only place I was honest before it was too late to matter. Let me take you back 11 days, to the morning the scanner started screaming. Intake screening is the dullest hour of my year. A line of new cadets, a drop of blood each, a machine that hums and prints a cast. Predator or prey, shielded or unshielded, immune cast or quarantine cast. The machine had never been wrong in 600 years. The human was fourth in line, small, a head shorter than the core twins ahead of her. She had dark hair tied back in a stillness that I mistook that morning for fear. Name, I said, Ren Holloway. Species, human, Earth. First intake. She said it like a person reading a grocery list. No pride, no epaligi. I pressed the lancet to her fingertip. One drop. The scanner drew in and began to hum. Then it stopped humming and began to scream. I have heard that alarm exactly twice in my career. Once during a live pathogen breach in a sealed lab. Once now. It is not a warning tone. It is the sound the machine makes when it has decided the sample in front of it should not be allowed to exist in a populated building. Read across every panel. Bioweapon. Class archive. Containment advised. The line scattered. Cadets pressed themselves to the far wall. My assistant, a young Thrin named OSK, went for the containment shutter, and his hand spines rattled so hard he missed the panel twice. Ren Holloway looked at the screaming machine. Then she looked at me. Oh, she said, yeah, that happens. My gill membranes fluttered. Among my people, that flutter is not a mannerism. It is what our throats do when the body has understood a danger before the mind has. I did not choose it. I felt it move, and I knew, before I knew anything else, that this girl was going to break my understanding of the living universe. That, I said carefully, is a containment alarm. Your blood has been classified as a weapon. Right. She rolled her sleeve back down. It reads all the antibodies, and it panics. Every scanner does. You want me to wait somewhere? Antibodies. She said the word the way you would say weather. I put her in an isolation room with a glass wall, and I ran her blood through the deep panel, the one we use for cross-species plague vectors. It takes 90 seconds. I stood there for all 90, and I read the results as they came. And this is the part one need you to sit with because I did not believe it either. The panel does not lie, and the panel does not soften. It listed what it found, one line at a time, and each line was a killer my species has laws against naming in a crowded room. Marorot. Neutralized. Antiboditité letal plus. The gray wither. The thing that emptied the Veshkari Southern Reef in a single season 9 generations ago. Neutralized. Her body had met it and filed it away. Collapse fever. Neutralized. Spiral pox. A disease so contagious that 4 species keep no written record of it because the scribes died before they could finish. Neutralized. Line after line after line. 31 entries. 31 plagues that between them have killed more thinking beings than every war in council history. And this 19-year-old carried the defeat of all of them in a body that weighed less than my medical kit. I opened the comm to her room. My voice did not come out level. Cadet Holloway. This panel says you have survived 31 lethal pathogens. I haven't survived any of them, she said. I've never had most of those. The antibodies are from shots. She shrugged. Vaccines. We get injected with the disease on purpose, so the body learns it. Weakened version, usually. Dead version, sometimes. You take a little bit of the thing that would kill you before it can, and your body remembers. I sat down. I am told chief medics should not sit down in front of cadets. I sat down. You inject children, I said slowly, with the pathogens. with weakened pathogens. Yeah, on a schedule, starting at about 2 months old. She tilted her head, and I swear there was sympathy in it. You're doing the throat thing. Are you okay? I was not okay. My gill membranes were fluttering so hard that OSK had come to the doorway to check on me. Because here is what she did not understand that she was saying. My people survived our plagues the only way we knew how. Isolation. Absolute quarantine. When the gray wither came, we sealed the sick behind stone, and we did not open it again. We call it mercy. We built a civilization, and eventually a council, and eventually an academy, on one law older than all the others. You do not let the killer inside the wall. And humans had spent their entire history doing the opposite. On purpose. To their infants. Why, I asked. It was barely a word. Ren considered it. When she answered, she gave me the line I would hear echo through the next 11 days, out of 3 different mouths, until it was carved into the record of this academy forever. Because, she said, humans practice dying in small doses, so the big one doesn't take us. I did what any medic does when the ground moves. I researched. I opened the Earth Biological Archive that had come with the first human intake, the one no one at the Academy had bothered to read, because we all assumed we knew what a fragile species looked like. I read it for 2 days. I want to tell you what I found, because it changed the shape of the word human in my mouth. They did not only do it with disease. That was the first shock. The vaccination is simply the clearest case of a thing they do everywhere, to everything, without a council ever ordering it. They tear their own muscle. Deliberately. They lift heavy objects until the fibers rip, because they learned that the body, healing the small tears, builds itself back stronger than before. Every human athlete is a person who damages themselves on a schedule and calls it training. They sit in heat that would cook my organs, dry rooms at temperatures we use to sterilize equipment, because the stress teaches their cells to endure. They go without food for stretches that would kill a Thran, because the hunger triggers repair. They eat plants that evolved specifically to poison mouths, and they bred those plants to be more poisonous, and they hold competitions to see who can eat the most. Their own bodies come with limiters, a protein that caps how much muscle they can build, a mechanism that should have made them weak. And they have learned to work against their own limiters. The archive had a line I read 4 times. Their bodies hold them back on purpose, and they spend their whole lives arguing with the breaks. There's a note in the archive about how they hunt, or how they used to before they had machines. They cannot outrun their prey. They are slow. What they can do is refuse to stop. A human on foot will follow a faster animal across open ground for hours, through the heat that should drop them, until the animal, built for one desperate sprint and then rest, simply cannot go on, and the slow, patient, overheating creature that never quit walks up and takes it. They call it persistence hunting. Their whole biology is arranged around surviving the part that hurts and being there when the thing that is stronger than them finally tires. Every other species I have ever screened treats harm as the enemy, something to be walled out. Humans treat harm as a teacher they keep on staff. The vaccine was just the oldest lesson. A mother, 10,000 years ago, noticing that the milkmaid who caught the smallpox never caught the great one. A civilization deciding, collectively, generation after generation, to take the killer into the arm of every child they loved, a little and early and on purpose, so that the killer would never again empty a city. I pulled Ren's immunization record. It had come in with her file. I had skipped it, the way you skip a form. I read it aloud to my council that evening, because I needed them to feel what I had felt. I want to read part of it to you the same way. Age 2 months. Injected with an attenuated strain of a disease that once killed 1 in 3 of her ancestors' children. Voluntarily. By her own parents. Age 4 months. A second injection. A third pathogen. Age 6 months. Age 1 year. Age 4 years. Age 11. On and on. A calendar of small, deliberate brushes with death. Each one signed by an adult who loved her. By the time Ren Holloway walked through our intake door, she was not a cadet who might survive a plague. She was a fortress that had been under construction since before she could speak, built out of 31 defeated killers, and she did not think of herself as remarkable at all. Counselor VDH, who oversees quarantine doctrine, listened to the entire record in silence. When I finished, she said the thing our whole civilization believed. This is barbarism. They poison their own young. That was my first thought too, I said. I have stopped having it. VTH did not stop having it. She demanded proof, and she was right too. A civilization does not overturn its oldest law because one medic's throat is fluttering. So we tested it under containment. The way you test a thing you're afraid is true. We took a dead sample of collapse fever, fully killed, no living pathogen, a shape and nothing more. And we introduced it to a culture of Ren's blood behind 3 layers of glass. Her blood found the dead killer in under 4 seconds. The antibodies swarmed a threat that could not even harm them, out of pure remembered reflex, and dismantled a disease that had killed 60,000 Veshkari in the year of the Southern Collapse. OSK, my assistant, watched the readout and made a sound I had never heard a Thren make. It remembers, he whispered. It has never met this thing, and it remembers how to kill it. It met the small version, Ren said, from the other side of the glass. She was eating something from a foil packet and watching us discover the obvious. When I was 9, my arm was sore for a day. That was the second time I heard about the sore arm. I did not yet understand that the sore arm was the entire point. You could argue with me. My counsel did. And I would have kept arguing, kept it academic, kept the human behind glass as a curiosity, if the ring had not started coughing on the 9th day. It began in the East Dormitory. A core cadet, then his roommate, then 4 more by evening. Fever, then the lesions, then the panel result that made my gill membranes go flat and still. Spiral pox, live, loose, inside the wall. We still did not know how it entered. A contaminated supply crate, most likely from a trade world we should have screened harder. It does not matter now. What mattered on the 9th day was that the most contagious disease known to 4 species was moving through a sealed academy of 1,100 cadets, and my entire medical doctrine had exactly one tool for it. Isolation, the old mercy. Seal the sick behind the wall and do not open it. I sealed the East Ring. 40 cadets inside. I told their families it was containment. I did not tell them it was a tomb, because that is what my doctrine had always made it. When the gray wither came from my ancestors, the seal did not come back out. Before I sealed it, I looked through the shutter's window because I owed them that much. 40 cadets. A core boy of maybe 16 was holding the hand of his roommate, a Thren, whose hand spines had already gone slack with fever. On the far wall, someone had used a med marker to write the names of everyone inside, so that if the shutter never opened, there would at least be a record of who had been in the room. I have seen a great deal of dying in my 600 years of walls. I had never before seen the sick take attendance of themselves. I asked myself at that window why we did not simply evacuate them, put them on a shuttle, and send the sickness away from the 1100. The answer is the same answer my people have always had. You do not move a spiral pox carrier through a station. To evacuate the sick is to hand the killer a faster ship. The wall was the only mercy my medicine owned. So I raised my hand to seal them in. I was standing at the shutter, having done the only thing 600 years of medicine had taught me to do, when Ren Halloway spoke through the comm from her isolation room. You're going to let them die in there. I'm going to contain the outbreak. Same thing, the way you're doing it. A pause. Let me in. I thought she had lost her mind. Cadet, there is live spiral pox behind that shutter. I know. I'm immune to it. Her voice was so steady it frightened me more than the alarm had. Line 11 on your panel. Spiral pox. Neutralized. I got that shot when I was 5. I cried, apparently. Let me in, and let me bring a centrifuge. Here is where you'll want to argue with me. So let me close the doors before you do, because I asked every one of these questions myself at the shutter with 40 lives on the clock. Why not cure them with a machine? Because we do not cure plague. No one in council space does. Our medicine is walls and time. We had never needed a cure because we had never let the disease inside long enough to need one. The machine that could have helped did not exist because our whole history had been arranged so that it would never have to. Why was only she immune? Because only she had been deliberately taught this specific killer years ago in a dose small enough to survive. Her classmates came from species that had spent their evolution running from disease. She came from the one species that ran toward it, carefully, on purpose, and kept notes. What did her blood matter if it was just antibodies? Because antibodies can be borrowed. This is the part my people never discovered because we never had a survivor to borrow from. Our survivors were all sealed behind stone. You can take the defeated killer's shape from one immune body and give it, briefly, to the sick. A bridge. Enough time for their own bodies to catch up. She knew this the way she knew her own name, because 10,000 years of humans had worked it out and written it down and taught it to their children. I opened the shutter. Every instinct my species owned screamed at me not to. My gill membranes fluttered so hard I could not speak. I opened it anyway, and the human girl walked into the sealed ring carrying a centrifuge like it was a lunch tray, and she got to work. I will not pretend I understood everything she did in the next 30 hours. I'm a medic of walls. She was a medic of bridges, and she had been one since she was old enough to hold the idea. She drew her own blood. She spun it. She separated the part that carried the memory of spiral pox, the antibodies, the defeated shape of the killer. And she showed me, on my own equipment, how to give that memory to a dying Corps cadet whose body had never learned it. This buys him a day, she said. Maybe two. His body has to do the rest. But a day is enough if his own immune system just gets a running start. It bought him a day, then another. The borrowed defense held the line. And his own body, given that running start, learned to fight over the days that followed. Until one morning his fever broke on its own and did not come back. I watched a cadet come back from spiral pox. No one in the recorded history of my species had ever watched that. We had only ever watched the shutter. She could not save all 40 with her own blood. She did not try to. What she did was smarter, and it is the thing I put in capital letters in my log. She taught us the method. Take the immune, borrow the defense, bridge the sick until their own bodies catch up. And then, the part that made Counselor VDH put down her stylus and stare. Take the defeated killer, weaken it, and give it, in a small and careful dose, to the healthy, before they ever get sick. So the wall is inside them, where it can move with them. Instead of made of stone, they have to hide behind. She vaccinated the West dormitory while the East was still coughing. 712 cadets, 30 species, lined up and rolled up their sleeves and took a small brush with death into their own arms. On purpose, because a 19-year-old human had shown their medic that this was not barbarism. It was the oldest mercy there is, and my people had simply never been brave enough to think of it. Not one of the vaccinated fell ill. Not one. The East Ring lost 3 cadets before the bridges held. I carry those 3, but 37 walked back out through a shutter that, in 600 years of my medicine, had never once opened from the inside. The Galactic Council convened 11 days after the scanner first screamed. I gave testimony. So did Ren, though she kept trying to give the credit to whoever figured out milkmaids, which none of the counselors understood and which I have since had to explain 4 times. They did not reclassify her blood as a weapon. They reclassified our entire understanding of it. The quarantine doctrine, 600 years old, the spine of council medicine, the law that says you do not let the killer inside the wall, was struck. In its place, they entered a new doctrine, and they let the humans name it, and the humans, being humans, named it something almost insultingly plain. Immunization. The practice of teaching the body its enemies, in doses too small to kill, before the enemy arrives in force. Every academy in council space now screens its cadets not to exile the dangerous blood, but to learn from it. The Veshkari Southern Reef, where the Grey Wither once emptied a civilization behind sealed stone, now runs the first vaccination program in my people's history. Children 2 months old, voluntarily, by parents who love them. Counselor VDH, who called it barbarism to my face, gave the closing statement to the council. She is not a warm being. She chose her words the way she chooses everything, which is carefully. And at the end of the most important medical ruling in 600 years, she said the line the human girl had said to me through a pane of glass on the first day. It appears, VTH said, that humans practice dying in small doses, so that the big death does not take them. We would be wise to learn the habit. Three mouths. The girl, the counselor, and now I suppose mine. I want to end where the galaxy did not get to see, because it is the part that tells you what humans actually are. The day after the council ruling, Ren Holloway did not come to morning drills. I found her in the med bay, of all places, filling out a form. "I like a day off," she said. "Medical." Every membrane in my throat seized. After everything, after the bridges, the sealed ring, the 700 sleeves, I thought the illness had finally found a way into the one body that could beat all of it. "What is wrong?" I said. "Tell me exactly what is wrong." She looked up. "My arm's sore." "Injected. I gave myself a booster last night," she said. "For a couple of the strains I was running low on. Standard. But the shot always leaves my arm achy for a day. It's fine. It just aches." She slid the form across. "Can you sign it? I want to sleep in." The girl who had walked unprotected into live spiral pox, who had opened a shutter my whole species was too frightened to open, who had rewritten 600 years of medicine in 11 days, was asking for a day off because her arm hurt from a shot she gave herself on purpose, the way her people had been doing since before they had cities. The whole academy heard about it by evening. Cadets who had watched her walk into a plague ward stood outside the med bay and watched her complain about a sore arm, and none of them laughed, because by then all of them understood. That is the trait, not that humans are strong. Everything strong dies. It is that they took the thing that kills and made it small, and made it a teacher, and made it Tuesday. A sore arm is what mastery of death looks like from the inside. It aches for a day, then you are harder to kill forever. I signed her form. I let her sleep in. I have screened 19,000 cadets across 41 species, and I will screen more. But I keep Ren Holloway's immunization record in my personal log now, next to my own, which is new and short, and started at the age of 206. The first Veshkari in my line to take the killer into my arm on purpose, a little, and early enough so the big one never gets a chance. My arm was sore for a day. I have never in my life felt safer. The next Earth intake arrives in 40 days. 11 of them, the roster says. 11 more walking archives of every killer they ever chose to survive. My council has asked me to prepare the medbay. This time I did not reach for the containment shutter. I ordered 1,100 doses of everything Ren Holloway taught us to weaken, and I told OSK to build a schedule. We're going to practice dying in small doses now, too. It is late in our history to start, but every civilization that ever learned this lesson learned it late, and learned it anyway. If a 19-year-old walking into a plague ward with a centrifuge and a shrug gave you the good, kind of chilled down your spine, that feeling has a name, and it is us. Subscribe, and I will keep bringing you the stories of the small, calm humans who walk into the dark on purpose and come back having changed the rules for everyone. Because humans practice dying in small doses, and the galaxy is only just now learning the habit.